We're at Gordon Parks High School in St. Paul. I'm an alumni of this school.
My name's Paul Krieger. I work at Gordon Parks High School. I'm a teacher and a curriculum coordinator. If someone were to say what's alternative about the school, we do things like this in the community. This is a pamphlet, an info pamphlet about redlining. Our teacher, Kent Miller, did was with students in the art class. This is a redlining map from St. Paul that's been widely distributed. It was used during the construction through Rondo.
All these cards were inspired by the students brainstorming. Some of these are really poetic, like this one, leaving behind toxic ways and environments to start focusing on your American dream, your coping mechanisms, and healing journey.
We spent the last 5 Fridays, was it 5?
Yes.
Planning this park event. We talked about a lot of different topics, and students really came together to design and organize everything that happened here.
We wanted to teach them how to really understand wealth and how to gain wealth and assets such as homes and buying an asset in the community. But one thing in particular that we wanted to teach them was how that process was marginalized and discriminated against certain people of color.
I think a lot of times people will think about racism, for example, as a person does something or says something or thinks something, and redlining, racial covenants, etc. Those are examples. Those are not people. Those are like systems. Those are banks. Those are government. That's all of those things conspired, essentially against African Americans and others.
So we just spent one class period talking about racism in housing, specifically redlining, racial covenants, exclusionary zoning, and gentrification in St. Paul and the United States.
Redlining was a practice, and in a way it kind of still is a practice, where predominantly people of color who live in certain areas were not allowed to get loans based off of who they were.
Students really got fired up about some things that Mara was teaching, having to do with economics and housing, and what Kalik was there to bring to the project. So the game was formed very organically.
And they got super fired up about it. And it was actually one student in particular that said we should help teach about these topics by creating a game.
It sounds like a game where if a person owns all these things, other people are forced to rent and pay, and they don't own anything. He was like, what if we made our own game?
They were learning about redlining, and one of the students said, hey, we could make a game about this.
Shout out to Terrence, by the way. So he thought of the idea.
And Paul Krieger, a friend of mine and a teacher, asked me to come in and talk with the students and help them design this game. You'll see many different stations representing neighborhoods that our players live in. Others are representing locations they go to try to ultimately get a house, which will win you the game. But what they don't know is the system is rigged. So we'll start out with neighborhood cards. We deal one to each player. They'll find out what neighborhood they live in, and they'll find out that some of the neighborhoods have better advantages than others. Trying to go get into college, get a job, eventually get a house. Also learn that they need to get a loan for all these from the bank. They'll be rolling these gigantic dice to try to get into college and so forth, and they'll learn that based on what neighborhood they live in, the dice are going to be kind of weighted in their favor or not. For those who are less advantaged, one of the ways they can win is by changing the rules of the game. In other words, changing the laws at the Capitol. Basically do some community action to get more people to come with them to the Capitol and roll their dice together. At the beginning of the game, players will get their neighborhood card, but they won't really know which color is better than another, and they're going to learn the rules of the game by going out and exploring. So it's not a traditional type of game where you know all the rules ahead of time.
The whole point of this game is not just to, bring awareness to these issues of structural racism, the things that were done in our banking system, in our school systems, in the housing system, but to also see how if we collectively come together and amplify these issues collectively, we can really make a difference.
I think it's great what they've done here, providing opportunities for kids, for the students to be involved in creating something that will benefit the people who go to school here, the people who live here.
And I loved what one of the students said up on the mic, saying that we're all colleagues. And it really was a natural project-based learning. When you're doing something real that people are going to learn from them, they don't feel like they're the students and we're the teachers. We're all working on it together, so we're all colleagues.
Yeah, that was great.
the things that they've done here with their students, we hope to be able to use that to help other schools do similar things with their students, getting them to learn how to be civically engaged, which they will take with them for the rest of their lives.
I was going to say this might be more big picture, but like, don't count these kids out.
Right.
They did a great thing today, and they did most of the work bringing it all together. They will be powerful leaders in our community, and I think a lot of times they have maybe felt discarded
Yes.
by their community,
Yep.
and we shouldn't count them out.
They know they have a voice when they do things like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't limit your dreams. That's what I would say. Don't limit your dreams.